Hey everyone, welcome back. So I've got a fun video today. This is just going to be a little bit different than normal. Here's the deal. Game companies, all of them, come to me, and they say, hey, give us a list of all of the remasters and remakes you want us to do. That's it. Simple as that. There's no rules to this thing. They're just asking you for which games that you want them to make, and they're going to go ahead and do it. So you've got the power. Let's see what we choose. So obviously in the last 10 years especially, we've seen some great remasters, some great remakes, and honestly, it just looks like we're going to get more from here. So if we had the power to choose what those next remasters and remakes would be, what would you choose? What would I choose? Well, this video today is actually about what I would choose. These are going to be my top 5 remasters, my top 5 remakes that I would choose if I had the power to tell developers, hey, go and make this thing. Now, keep in mind that this is got nothing to do with whether it's going to be a financial success for the company or anything like that. I'm not thinking about this too much, right? I'm just looking at this and saying, what games do I want to see? What games would I want to experience a remaster in or a remake that hasn't already been done? What I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the top 5 remasters and remakes, and we'll probably start with the remasters first. And let's just jump into this thing. So, every top 5 list, right? There always has to be a cheater. So I'm going to cheat here and I'm going to come up with a 6th, right? This is the one that just couldn't make the cut. So over on the remasters list, Rock and Roll Racing. I don't even know how this would look, honestly. Don't really know how this would look. There's an argument to say that this would probably benefit more from a remake, but I couldn't fit it into my top 5 remakes, so I had to put it over here on the cheat side for remasters. If I had to have something, at least I'm getting a remaster of it. This game was so fun. Not so much in solo, but in co-op, this game was really, really, really fun. Now, I could definitely see a market for them if they release this as an individual remaster on its own. And the crazy thing is that this game, it's not really accessible. I think it's actually stuck on the Mega Drive and the SNES. I don't think you can find it on any relevant consoles, any of the modern consoles, certainly. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I actually don't know about it, but I don't think so. Anyway, that is my cheat one for the remasters. Let's jump across to the remake side of things. We have Burning Rangers. Wow, this game was super cool. It was so unique at the time. Basically what you're doing is you're running around and you're putting out fires and you're saving people, and that is really it. You're a burning ranger. You're putting out fires. That's what you do. That's what you were put on the world for. And this game, honestly, the soundtrack was great too. But I would love to see what Sega could do with a remake if they really put in the work. If they really put in the effort to make this a really good remake. Now, it's probably never going to happen. Sega put out their recent, hey, what games would you like us to see do? What games would you like us to do next? This game wasn't on that list, so it's probably not going to happen. But I'd still like to see it. Anyway, so that's my cheat for the remakes. And now we actually get into the top 5 for remasters. So my first one here for the remasters list is Lufia 1 and 2. Now, these games were really, really cool. I played these on the SNES. I don't think they were ever on the Mega Drive. I think they were SNES exclusive. And they were just so fun. I remember playing this a lot with my younger brother. And notably what I remember is probably the first time I experienced this, but like a roguelike dungeon where you go into it, you start from a low level and you kill enemies, move down to the next levels, and you get stronger on the way, you find gear. If you die, you basically restart from scratch level 1 again. It was so cool, but they did also have permanent upgrades. So if you found something really cool, you could actually leave the dungeon and keep it. So there was a risk-reward mentality going on with that, and great game. I would love to see a full 2D, 3D reimagining of this game. I think it would just, if you put it on the scale of like the Suikoden or Suikoden, however you pronounce them, the remastered versions of those and what they look like, I think this game could really, really benefit from something like that, and I'd love to see it. It's my list. I'd love to see it. Number 5 over on the remake. So this one here, I have heard a little bit about this. I don't know if it's happening or what the deal is, but Skies of Arcadia. I would love to have a remake of Skies of Arcadia. Not a remaster, I'd love a remake. Now, the reason why not a remaster is I just want them to do something fresh with this. You know, I wouldn't want to have kind of a decent looking game with, you know, all of its previous issues that it had. And, you know, despite it being a great game, it did have some problems. I didn't like the voice acting at all, so I'd want to see them completely redo that. I just feel like this would benefit more from a remake as opposed to a remaster. So, Sega, hey, you know, you're going to be on this list quite a bit. I'm just saying, but you know, this would be a great one to be looking at. Number 4 on the remasters list, we have Luna Blue and Luna Silver. Now, both of these are quite unique actually on this list because these are the only games on this entire list that I never played. I never got to play them. They were stuck on I think it was the Sega CD, I think, which I did not own. And so I never got to play these games. So these are two that, you know, I would love to see the full 2D, 3D setup going for these and just bring them across to these consoles because I don't think they're accessible any other way. I don't think you can get these on, you know, the eShop or, you know, the Xbox Store or anything like that. I don't think they sell these games. So for me, this would be bringing some games from, you know, our history back into the light again, and really showing them to a new audience that I'd hazard a really good guess that not many people got to play these in the grand scheme of things, and I'm certainly one of them. So, you know, as I said before, I'm not caring so much about whether these are financial successes for these companies. These are just what I would want to see. So I'd want to see, you know, I would want to see the Luna games come back into the light of day with some remasters. Number 4 over on the remakes. Oh, this one's good. Shining Force 2. I would love to see a full-blown remake of this game. Please, Sega, as I said, you're going to be on this list a bit. And it doesn't stop here. This game, I would love to see a full remake of. I could see something like Fire Emblem Engage, but in the Shining Force aesthetic with the Shining Force 2 characters. Man, some of those characters they had so much personality for a game that had no character development going on. It's really bizarre, but somehow those characters really attached to me. And this is a game that I come back to and I play, you know, every 1 to 2 years. I play through this start to finish. And I would love to see a remake of this. I'd love to see what Sega could do with a full remake of this. Something similar to Fire Emblem Engage. Come on, Sega. You can do this. Come on. You can do it. Back to the remasters list. Number 3. This game, hidden gem. Total hidden gem. The Legend of Oasis. I played this on the Sega Saturn. Again, this is another Sega game. This game, I don't know what happened. I'm guessing it sold really poorly because Sega just dropped this thing. They just dropped this franchise altogether. I don't know what happened, but I loved this game. I really, really did. And basically what you're doing is there is a whole story piece there, but what I really remember is actually getting and fighting the spirits. And what was super cool about it at the time is as you're progressing through the levels, a lot of things, and I mean a lot of things, you can't get to until you get spirits that are in the upcoming shrines. And so you constantly have to keep backtracking and finding new things to get, to make your spirits even stronger, to be able to find more secrets again. So the whole nature of backtracking to me, and it almost felt like a bit of an open world too, was, I feel like very, very unique at the time. I guess it was a little bit like The Secret of Manas, I guess. But I think this could definitely do with a 2D, 3D remaster. And the reason why I don't think a remake is just because it already looks really good. Like if you look at the graphics, it always looks really good. The animations are pretty damn good. And I think this could just do with a really nice touch-up. A really, really nice touch-up. Make things look really, really good. And I could see this thing selling, especially on the Switch. And on the other side, we have Panzer Dragoon Saga. wow, this game was really cool. This game probably, when did it come out? Maybe a year after Final Fantasy VII. I can't quite remember exactly. But what I do remember is I didn't have a PlayStation at the time Final Fantasy VII first came out. What I did have was a Sega Saturn, and I remember playing a lot of this game. It was really, really good. And then, eventually I did get a PlayStation because it's Final Fantasy VII, right? But this game was still really, really good, and I would love to see a full remake of this. Now, they can't do a remaster because apparently Sega just don't keep their source code for games they develop, I guess. I don't know. They lost the source code. So I would love to see a full remake of this, and I think it's the only possible path we could take because they don't have the source code. So let's get a remake of this if we can, and I feel like this is a long shot because they really, really didn't make many copies of this originally, so there's probably not a lot of fans out there for this game, but I would still love to see it because, again, this is my list. Number 2 over on the remasters. This game. Dragon Force 1 and even Dragon Force 2. Throw both of them into this list. I want to see a remastered version of this, and Dragon Force 1 was so good. It was so good. I played a lot of this, and this was probably the most played game amongst my friends. So when my friends would come over, we put a lot of time into Street Fighter Alpha 2, for example, but also a lot of time into Dragon Force 1. That game was so good. I would love to see a complete remaster of this, and I think it would look incredible. I think they could do something really special with this game. And Dragon Force 2, it never made it to Australia, and I don't think it ever made it to the US, did it? Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I don't think it did. And I would love for them to make this a remaster, put both games on the one cart, and send this across. This would be an insta-buy for sure, as would all these games on this list, but this one would be really, really good to see, and it's super expensive to get now as well on the aging hardware, so this is one it's hard to get. So I would love to see this. That's number 2. Back to the remakes list. We're getting down to it. Here we go. Number 2. Chrono Trigger. Now, everyone's probably like, what? It's number 2. Especially since you can ask for anything. But, bear with me. Number 1 is something special to me. Chrono Trigger. This game, Square must be doing something with this game, or something's going on, because they're just not bringing it out on anything. You would expect that this would be on the Switch. If they didn't have plans to do anything with this game, you think they would have bundled it into the Chrono Cross remaster that they did. You think they would have put it on there if they had no plans for Chrono Trigger. So they must have plans. Hopefully that is a full-blown remake, because this game is incredible, and I would love to see just what they could do with this, because the story was fantastic. The sound and music was fantastic as well. The gameplay was great. But I could see them pulling off something really special here. And this is the sort of game that they would sell a lot of. Out of any game on this list, this is probably the one that I'd look at and say they would have zero issues with getting their money back on this. Zero. They would get their money back on this. So there we go. Number 2. Chrono Trigger. You wait for my number 1 on the remakes. Whew. Let's keep going. Remasters. My number 1 on the remasters list. If I could choose anything to remaster, this is what I would choose. It is Shining Force 3. This game, the first part, it was actually in 3 parts. Now, the first part made it over here into the US, to Australia. The second and third parts, I don't think it made it out of Japan. I think they were exclusively Japan, and it's a shame because they were actually 3 games that came together to, if you played all 3, you'd be playing different forces, like different teams, different units, and then in the final chapters, all of them would come together for a massive, massive fight. And just the strategy on play here, I felt would have been incredibly awesome. I would have loved to have experienced all 3. Unfortunately, we just got the first one here in Australia, so this would be my number 1 just because it's completely inaccessible otherwise. There's not even an English version of this you can get, even if you go back to the Saturn and you import the version from Japan. There's no English dub on this, there's no English subtitles, there's nothing. right? So this would be a great way to bring this game back. And honestly, I think there'd be a pretty big market for this. I think Sega would be surprised. And, you know, it's not a remake. Just give me a remaster of this thing. Make it a very good remaster. And obviously get everything translated and all that sort of stuff. I feel like it'd be a pretty big job, but I think it'd be worth it in the end. I think there's a market for this. That's my number one requested remaster. Shining Force 3 Parts 1, 2, and 3. Sega, you know what to do. Just make it happen. Yeah, I've told you. Make it happen. And here we go. This is the last one. It is number one on the remakes list for me. And I'm going to garner some aggro on this one, I suspect. Final Fantasy VIII. This game, if you saw my last video, you know, I was talking about finding masterpieces and those special gaming moments. This game really was something special to me. It hit at the right moment in my life. And sometimes you get games that just hit at the right moment and they become unforgettable. This is the sort of game that for me fell into that basket. The love story side of things it just hit at the right time in my life. It was really, really good. And I can see just how incredible this could be if they split this into 3 parts like Final Fantasy VII. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are like, no, don't do that. Like, even if you're going to do this game, make it one thing and, one and done. Don't make it a 3-part series. But, hey, this is my list. I'm asking them to do anything, right? And I'm saying, give me a Final Fantasy VIII in 3 parts in the same quality as you're seeing with your Final Fantasy VII remakes in 3 parts. That would be incredible. I would love to see it. And again, it's probably not going to happen. You know, they gave us the Final Fantasy VIII remaster version recently, about 2 years ago. So I don't expect they have anything to do with this game. They're probably going to skip it and they'll move on to maybe a remake of Final Fantasy IX. There has been some conversation around that, so that's probably what's happening. So again, Final Fantasy VIII remake, probably not going to happen, especially not in 3 parts. But I think it'd still be super cool. I'd love to see it. Anyway, guys, that is my list here. I'm going to show it again on screen. That is my list of top 5 plus 1 cheat for remasters and remakes that I would love to see. If I had the power to tell them to do anything, this is what I tell them to do. But, I'm sure you all have your own take on this and you're probably laughing at my take and, hey, that's fair. But, I'd love to see what yours are. If you get a chance, post them down in the comments here. I'll get back to you for sure. And I'd love to actually see what other people's versions of this would be because we have had some great remasters and remakes, but I feel like there's still a lot of potential there. And, hey, if we're going to get remasters or remakes from these companies, we may as well get the ones we want, right? So anyway, guys, that's it for me. Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been a fun little video. I really enjoyed putting this together. Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a great night, a great day, whatever it is. Bye.